Hello everybody, my name is Joe Shelton and I'm a singer, songwriter, music producer, and recording artist from Indianapolis, Indiana. Over the last year, I've stepped out and performed music on over 200 stages. Along the way though, I met a lot of great people that I didn't expect to. They were inspiring artists and songwriters and musicians, and I want to share all of that inspiration with you. So that's what this show is about. Moonshine equals love, shine in love on the music. Moonshine and music starts now. Hello and welcome to Season 2, Episode 9, with Jeff Byrd as our host. He's not our host. Joe Shelton's our host. Our featured guest today is Jeff Byrd, and Jeff's going to tell you so much about his music. I was kind of surprised to learn that he had basically performed a theft of John Mellencamp's band to do his next album. You want to hear about that? Great. Let's have the interview right now with Jeff Byrd. Welcome to Moonshine and Music, Jeff Byrd.
Hello.
It's good to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
I know you've probably watched a few of them, but the goal of the show is to get to know inspiring songwriters. And
I'll go ahead and leave.
You're gonna. Jeff Kelly already pulled that.
Yeah.
Man. I don't know. It's a Jeff thing.
It's a brotherhood of Jeffs. There's that band Jeff the Brotherhood, but we do the Brotherhood of Jeff. So
is that true?
No.
That could be a good thing.
But it could be.
You could promote
like
that
a tribute
somehow.
act to Jeff the Brotherhood.
Or a tribute act to all artists named Jeff. Then you could do like Jeff Buckley songs. And,
there you go, Mr. Kelly.
Anyway, where were you born? Where did you grow up?
I was born a poor child. I'm originally from southern Indiana, so a town called Washington, where it's actually born, but the town right next to it, Petersburg, Indiana, is what I call my hometown. That's where I grew up. So it's about a population of 2,800 people, so everybody knows everybody. And back then, you didn't really know that you were kind of poor and lower class and not a lot of money, but everybody was happy, everybody knew each other, and so that's kind of where I grew up. And agriculture, coal mining were pretty much what everybody did down there.
Is it in between Bloomington and Evansville?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
That southern Indiana area where it's either corn or coal is basically all the jobs.
Or rock quarries.
Quarries, yeah. And then about the time I turned, became a freshman in high school, I moved up to Indianapolis and lived in Greenwood for most of my life, and then Southsider in Indianapolis right now.
So you graduated from which school in Greenwood?
Do I have to say it? People usually.
Yeah, we got to,
scour at me. Center Grove High School. So it was when I was there, it was more still kind of the suburb farming high school. People drove their tractors to like pep rallies and stuff, and now kids drive their Lamborghinis and things. So it's changed.
Yeah, we heard a little bit about Center Grove from Chris Wilson.
Yeah. When
he was on, because you guys are alums of the same place. Are there a lot of musicians in that area? Does the living out in that kind of a community, or even farther south, does that lend itself to songwriting?
I don't think so. There wasn't a whole lot of. There was some good bands at that time. Bands were mostly you start out in high school in cover bands, and that's kind of what everybody did. And I was just in the garage just learning to play. When I was about 15 is when I really started to pick up the guitar and wanted to be the next Eddie Van Halen and then once I realized these little stubs for fingers wouldn't do the same things that Eddie's did, then I started to think about maybe I should try to sing or the songwriting thing, or so there really wasn't a whole lot of bands. There was a guy named Mark Deers. He was in a band called Danger Will Robinson, which was a really popular band, in the early '90s, and he was a friend of mine, inspiration. But they're really, I'm the sole musician in my family, so there wasn't really any kind of family lineage that pushed me towards music. It was just something I always, felt from very young that I wanted
So you
to do.
fell in love with Van Halen? Was that where it?
Well, somebody just asked me that question about, what started you out in music, and the first really concept of music I had was Elvis, like a lot of us in the 70s.
Right.
But it was more of, he was almost like and Kiss. So they were almost like superheroes, you know what I mean? They had costumes and capes, and so it's kind of this weird music, this weird combination of music and comic book-like, personas that attracted me as a kid. And then I grew up with kind of the dawn of MTV and the whole, MTV generation. So that early music, a lot of the pop stuff, Thriller, and then, I went full-fledged into the glam metal, hair metal, Def Leppard and Ozzy Osbourne and Van Halen and all those acts in that genre. Rat was a huge band for me. So
Guns?
And then Guns N' Roses they were kind of on the end. I was starting to transition into college rock by that time. So I still kind of secretly liked them, but I was talking by that point. I was talking more about the Smiths and the Replacements and other but REM and college rock bands like that. So
what they called alternate.
What became alt rock. Originally it was college rock or postmodern or
I never understood the alt title. It seemed like just rock to me.
Yeah. I mean. Yeah,
it's
like a band like the Replacements.
A little less distortion, and a little more, down the middle, like a resurgence of that almost.
Yeah, I mean, if you ever hear like a band like the Replacements, they had very kind of singer-songwriter quality songs, and then they had, punk songs, and then they had just kind of anthemic, you could even call them classic 70s style anthem rock songs. So, I never had any. I was never attached to any kind of, genre of music. It was just whatever I thought, sounded good and had some connection to me in some way.
So, when did you first start writing?
Started really bad writing kind of in high school. The music I was listening to at that time in high school was, hey, we're gonna party, girls are hot, we're gonna drink, so there wasn't a big range of what you could write. So if I look back at some of the stuff I wrote then, it was pretty terrible, but that was kind of the idea behind almost every song, was that genre.
Man, you're gonna kill Whitesnake. That was like all their songs.
I loved Whitesnake, all that stuff. And then I think once I got into college and got into more of the, college rock, I started listening to, more singer-songwriters. I mentioned the Smiths and the Replacements, but also Springsteen. I got big into Springsteen, and then growing up, in Petersburg, Mellencamp was huge. I talked to somebody the other day about, they were talking about how punk rock made a lot of people think, hey, I can do this. Hey, I can become a musician. For me, it was Mellencamp because I was living in this small community, and here's a guy that's, at the top of the radio charts, and he's writing and singing about these people that I see in my town. So that's when I first thought, maybe this is something that, I could do. And then in college was when most of the kind of the songwriting started. Because there's a realization that, I wasn't going to become the best guitar player in the world, so I gotta try these other things, and if I want to keep doing this, and find my niche. So the songwriting kind of worked out, and the singing part was just a necessity of writing songs. It's like, well, if I want people to hear these songs, I don't know anybody else to sing them, so I'm going to have to sing them.
So you didn't go out recruiting a singer?
No. It was always so personal. The songwriting was always so personal to me. It's like I couldn't imagine anybody else singing it and having the same feelings and same emotion behind what I was writing.
So do you do a lot of cover songs when you're playing shows, or
no?
Mostly
Cover songs are too hard. You have to you write your own songs and you just make up the chords, and if somebody, if you cover a song, then you have to play it a certain way, and if you mess it up, then people know. The beauty of original music is you can mess up, and as long as you don't make a face, you're all right, and people think that's just part of the song.
Well, that's the way he's interpreting it today.
Yeah.
So, I didn't know if you did, because I hadn't ever heard you really do a cover. And I've heard you a few times, and I'm like,
yeah. I've done some Replacements covers and Springsteen covers, and that's about it.
I keep hearing a whistle every time you say the Replacements.
Replacements.
So there's an audience member who's a fan of the Replacements, apparently.
I like that person.
So that's awesome. So when did you start recording? What made you start doing that?
Well, recording was just kind of something that happened right out of the gate. I really didn't start playing in public until about 2005. And way back then, a guy named Jethro Easyfields, you may know him.
I know Jethro.
And he was running a little open stage type of thing, singer-songwriter thing, at a place that was called Bubba's Bowling Alley. It used to be a duck pin bowling alley there on the south side by Arias. And so you would go into a show and he would record them. And so he gave you the recordings after your show was done for free. Didn't charge anything. So I took a few of the songs, I think there was about 5-7 of them, and had a guy try to, Roger Baker, he's another local musician person that has been in the community forever and has a little studio, and he kind of cleaned it up for me, and I put that out as I think I called it Live 2005. That was kind of just done it myself, put that out, and then later when I had a band, we recorded another CD called Stereoville. It's like 10 songs.
What was that band called?
Jeff Byrd and the Wingmen.
Jeff Byrd and the Wingmen.
Jeff Byrd and the Wingmen. Yeah, loved that name until I found out there was half a dozen other Wingmen bands out there.
The power of Google.
Yes. So running my life when I Googled that. Thought it was so original. And so we put out another kind of self DIY album on CD, Stereoville, and then our first I had a band called Birdhouse Sound, and we put out a kind of full-fledged Do It Right. We recorded with Ryan Cook in the Southside Arc Barn. He plays with a whole bunch of different people, Sarah Grain, and so we recorded it in his studio, and came out really well. Put that out, did the CD release show, and then we did a live concert recording at Birdie's called Working Class Live, and that was a couple years. Heck, it's been probably 3 or 4 years by now. And so this CD I'm getting ready to release now, called B-Town, is the first kind of real solo recording that I've done.
So do you have a myriad of players on the new record, or is it going to be mostly you playing different instruments? Or
well, the way things kind of came together, I connected with a guy named Tony Burton. He's known in the Indianapolis area for playing with Roadmaster, guitar player for Roadmaster for a number of years, Henry Lee Summer. And through him I met Alan Johnson, who runs the Static Shack studio kind of up on the north side here, and it used to be TRC Studios, which is the Bob and Tom
Studio.
Yeah, and so it's still where they do a lot of the recordings, and you go in there and there's all these Bob and Tom comedy albums and on the walls, and there's Mellencamp did some recording there, so there's a bunch of Mellencamp records on the walls, and so he knew Alan when I approached him about the project. Kind of told him what I was wanting to do, kind of creating some sort of new, version of heartland rock, Midwest rock, as I interpret it. He said, well, why don't we work with this person and this person, and Dane Clark, who's John Mellencamp's current drummer, and Johnny G's Mellencamp's current bass player, and Troy Kennett, Mellencamp's current keyboardist.
You like stole Mellencamp's bass?
Yeah, well, the rhythm section's all Mellencamp, and then on guitar we have Larry Crane, who is John Mellencamp's guitar player, kind of
Right.
co-creator of the Heartland sound, co-writer in some instances. He's playing on guitar on the album.
Awesome.
And then Tony Burton, he plays some electric and acoustic, and then I did acoustic as well. But once I kind of presented Alan the songs, he said, if this is what you want to do, let's pull in the real deal. Let's pull in the real guys who were involved in the creation of all that. And so for me, it was just an amazing opportunity, and it took almost 2.5 years to get everything done. But it was for me, being a fan of that genre of music and those players, it was just like a dream come true. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm jealous.
Well, it wasn't for free.
I'm sure it wasn't.
They don't do it. And Mimi Mapes, Mimi Mapes is on background vocals. You'll hear her on a lot of the album, and she, was the background singer for Henry Lee Summer, and she sang background on Minutes to Memories on Mellencamp.
Yeah, I know that song. When's the record coming out?
Well, the record we're doing if you go to Jeff Byrd Music, BYRD, jeffbirdmusic.com, we're doing kind of a pre-order campaign right now. So we hope to be able, through the pre-order, to get the funds to put out not only CDs but some vinyl and do some videos. We've already done one video for B-Town, the title track. It's out there on YouTube, so if you look up Jeff Byrd B-Town.
Yeah, I've seen the video.
Yeah, it's on there, and so we're trying to kind of do the pre-sale first and then decide what we want to do. We're going to do a hometown CD release show. I think we're going to try to do a CD release show down in Bloomington as well. So
those guys are all going to come play live with you for the.
Nah, we'll see about that.
We'll see.
Actually, I think they're all getting ready to go out on tour with Mellencamp. So yeah.
Man, that'd be killer.
It would be, but yeah.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes the studio guys
busy.
are not the live guys.
They got this other boss who.
They got this other boss who fills stadiums.
Yeah, fills stadiums.
Yeah, I get it. So you want to play some music for us today?
I would definitely love to.
All right, man. Let's do it.
All right.
It's great to have you
Thanks,
here.
Joe.
Thanks for coming on.
Appreciate it, man.
Next week on Moonshine and Music, Sydney Page takes the stage, and there isn't a more beautiful voice that you will find anywhere than Sydney Page. Listen to this.
So come on, pretty lady, may I have this dance? It's a one love song about a true romance. The earth and winds may try to break us, but I'll never let them win. 'Cause I'll keep fighting for you till the end.
All right, this song is it's about my first car. I had a '78 Camaro, and it was a lot like me at the time when I was young. It had a lot of potential, but it pretty scratched and banged up, and needed a lot of help to fire on all cylinders. So this is called My Camaro. Could have made silhouette out in the distance in the bright sunlight. away in the black midnight. Both were scratched and scarred by so many hard miles, a little slow coming off the start. One had a rebuilt engine, the other still had a willing heart. Thanks. So this next song is called "The Homecoming Kids," and it's about kind of the transition of being idealistic and young and in love, and then growing old together and trying to face the challenges that life puts upon you, but still keeping that childlike innocence and having open hearts. And this is called "The Homecoming Kids." Sorry we're missing the show. We used to be the ones there dancing in the front row. So rich, but keeping up with them Joneses, yeah, it's costing so much more. Now faults and fears, it's all we got left to show. We hold on to every minute, to every new low. Remember Friday nights under stadium lights and all the things that we did. We would love, we would fight. It was alright 'cause we had whole hearts to give. Back when we knew how to live. Yeah, back when we were the homecoming kids. Yeah, 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 yeah. If we find we can't climb our way out of this hole, never meant for the weight of our world to ever weigh down your beautiful soul. Then every promise I ever made, you know I did. Maybe our love was all we ever needed to live. Remember Friday nights under stadium lights and all the things that we did. We would love, we would fight. It was alright 'cause we had whole hearts to give. Yeah, back when we knew how to live. Back when we were the homecoming kid. Yeah, 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 yeah. Do you remember Friday nights under stadium lights and all the things that we did? We would love, we would fight. It was alright, we had whole hearts to give. Yeah, back when we knew how to live. Back when we were the homecoming kids. Yeah, 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 the homecoming kids. Yeah, 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 the homecoming kids. Thanks. All right. So I've got an album coming out called B-Town. So if you're not familiar with B-Town, Bloomington, Indiana, and it's not really a theme album, not really a concept album, but it kind of turned out that way. So all the songs are around that era. So this is the title track, B-Town. You could feel your whole world change the day they drove you into town, and it was clear the next 4 years your feet would never touch the ground. You were gonna learn so many things you knew you were gonna forget. A lifetime of memories to cherish and maybe some to regret. Well, who's your idols play for national titles? Down on Kirkwood, boys and girls are meeting, it feels so right. Cream and crimson nights, waiting on the world's greatest college weekend. Yeah, Bloomington days, feel it in your bones. Yeah, Bloomington days, it feels like home. The shy become untamed rebels, the awkward, accomplished lovers. Losers become the life of the party. Friends, they fall apart and lose each other. Recall the honor shared her bed that night. You convinced those cops you were Thought history made, it begins to fade. You can't tell what's fiction or fact. We were all so very young, and man, let's just drink to that. Here's to all the faces we met, and here's to all our friends. Long not to be forgotten, even if we never meet again. Down at Kirkwood, boys and girls still meeting it. Feels so right, cream and crimson nights, waiting on the world's greatest college weekend. Yeah, Bloomington days, feel it in your bones. Bloomington days, and it feels like home. Yeah, Bloomington days, you can feel it in your bones. Yeah, Bloomington days, you belong down in B-Town. Thanks.
Thank you, Jeff Byrd, man. That was a killer set. Thanks for rocking the Moonshine music stage. You know, just as good as anyone ever has, and we really appreciate you coming on the show today. Hey, thank you for stopping by and listening to the show and watching the show, whichever way you're doing it out there in the world. Please hit the subscribe button, and it's great to have you here. And we hope you join us next week when we have Sydney Page stop by and sing like a songbird. So you got to come in for that. And we got some good stories in that interview too. So you're going to want to stop by and hear them. So I really appreciate you guys stopping by each week. And it's great to have your support. Leave us some comments. Like the show. Click like. Click subscribe. Do all that stuff for us. We really appreciate you. Thank you. Have a good day. And see you next time on Moonshine and Music. Moonshine and Music is a presentation of Notlehs Entertainment. Copyright 2018, all rights reserved. Our producer for today's show was Joe Shelton. Our cameraman, grip, and stunt double was Brent Lee Smith. And also helping out on cameras, setup, and all sorts of other things, Bailey Shelton. Thank you for joining us, and join us next week on Sunday for Moonshine and Music.